Good day, everyone. So today we are going to discuss the state of marginalized groups in Philippine politics. So while the Philippines prides itself on being a democracy, the reality is that the political power remains concentrated in the hands of a few. So our discussion today will focus specifically on these critical sectors that have historically struggled for genuine representation: the indigenous peoples, the communities within the Bangsa Moro Autonomous Region of Muslim Mindanao, and women. We will examine their current status, the barriers they face, and the structural changes needed to ensure their voices are heard. To begin, we must establish what we mean by marginalization. So, Uh, these are groups that are systematically pushed to the fringes of society, lacking the power to influence the decisions that affect their lives. So, possible causes, this inequality stems from deep-rooted issues, including yung mga historical discrimination, economic poverty, kahirapan, and dynastic political structures. So, why does this matter? Because political inclusion is the bedrock of a functioning democracy. So, when large actors of the populations are excluded, governance becomes skewed. So, our presentation will move through three distinct segments. First, we will look at indigenous peoples who often face a struggle between preserving their heritage and surviving modern political pressures. Second, we will analyze the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region of Muslim Mindanao communities, exploring the transition from armed conflict to parliamentary governance. And finally, we will discuss women, national and local politics, assessing how far we've come and the glass ceilings that remain. So let's start with the indigenous peoples of the Philippines. So we are talking about a massive diverse sector comprising over 100 ethno-linguistic groups across the archipelago. Ang dami nila. Um, May mga legal framework tayo. No? So on paper, they have robust protection under the Indigenous Peoples' Rights Act or yung IPRA of 1997. This is a landmark law intended to recognize ancestral domains. But the reality, despite this law, IPs remain politically underrepresented. They are often treated as mere voters during elections rather than active participants in policy making. So the challenges facing IPs are life-threatening and systemic. So there is a weak representation in local government units, sa mga LGUs natin, even when IPs are present, their voices are often drowned out by the local elite. When it comes to the land and resources, the core issue is usually, of course, land. There are persistent conflicts regarding land and resource extraction, such as mining and logging. So when it comes to safety, so this leads to militarization in ancestral domains. These IP communities often find themselves caught in the crossfire between state forces and insurgent groups. So social stigma underlying all of this is persistent discrimination, where IPs are viewed as backward, delegitimizing their political claims. A specific mechanism designed to help is the IPMR, or the Indigenous Peoples Mandatory Representative System. So this mechanism mandates that legislative councils in LGUs must have a seat reserved for an IP representatives. But the problem, however, the implementation is flawed. There is often significant resistance from LGUs where local mayors or councils refuse to seat the IPMR or withhold their budgets. Furthermore, there is a lack of genuine support to train these representatives in governance. To see these challenges in action, look at the LUMAD, anti-mining advocacy in Mindanao. So these communities are fighting for the protection of their ancestral land against large-scale mining, mga mining corporations that threaten their environment and of course their way of life. So what will be the cost? Because they stand up against powerful economic interests, they face harassment and of course red tagging. They are often falsely labeled as enemies of the state simply by defending their homes. And to summarize the state of indigenous peoples, so while there has been progress under the IPRA law in terms of legal recognition, there is an urgent need for stronger political empowerment. No? Recognition of land is not enough. They need the political power to defend that land and govern their own communities effectively. Moving south, let us discuss the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao, or what we call BARMM. So, this region was created under the Bangsamoro Organic Law, or the BOL, of 2019, replacing the failed ARMM experiment. So, this was not just an administrative change. It is a political solution designed to address decades of conflict and historical injustice against the Moro people. It represents a hope for peace through self-determination. The BARMM or the BARM introduces a unique political structure within the Philippines. Unlike the national presidential form, BARM utilizes a parliamentary system which is theoretically more conducive to consensus building. When it comes to inclusion, so it features reserved seats for various sectors, ensuring that non-Moro indigenous peoples, women, and youth have a voice in the parliament. As of now, or currently, it is under the governance of the Bangsamoro Transition Authority, or the BTA, which is laying the foundation before the first regular election. A fascinating aspect of the BARM is the MILF. This is the Moro Islamic Liberation Front. Uh, we are witnessing a historic shift from armed struggle to political participation. Commanders who once fought the government are now sitting in parliament drafting laws. The goal is this is the essence of peace building through governance. It proves that providing a legitimate political platform gap can end violence and foster stability. However, the BARM is not without internal marginalization issues, specifically regarding the non-Moro indigenous peoples representation. The minority within a minority, these are groups like the Teduray, the Lambangian, face distinct political challenges within the Moro-dominated region. So the issue here is their primary struggle involves ancestral land recognition, as there is friction between the claim of the Bangsamoro entity and the specific ancestral domain claims of these indigenous tribes. In summary, uh, their achievement, yung greater autonomy has been achieved, of course, providing a blueprint for self-determination. And the challenge now is the need for inclusive and stable governance. The BARM must ensure it does not replicate the exclusion of the national government by marginalizing its own minority populations. Our final sector of analysis is women in Philippine politics. So this is the trend. We see an increasing number of female leaders in the Philippines, from local councils to the vice presidency. Okay, so the gap, however, do not let the numbers fool you. There are remaining gender gaps in representation. Many female politicians are actually bench warmers lang for political dynasties. They occupy seats for husbands or fathers. So genuine independent female representation is harder to come by. What stops women from entering politics? The barriers are, of course, multifaceted. So number one is culture. So meron tayong gender stereotypes na nagpe-persist, where women are seen as too emotional for leadership. When it comes to safety, there is the reality of political harassment and violence, which disproportionately affects women. So, and in terms of resources, women often suffer from limited funding, as business networks backing politicians are traditionally male-centric. Doon sa structure, okay, finally, the male-dominated political structures, o yung tinatawag nating the old boys club, make it difficult for women to break into the inner circles of power. Despite barriers, women have made massive contributions. A prime example is the Miriam Coronel Ferrer. Is Miriam Coronel Ferrer. Okay, so she played a historic role in peace negotiations, becoming the first female chief negotiator in the world to sign a major peace agreement with a rebel group, the MILF. Her success demonstrates that women bring essential perspectives to conflict resolutions and governance. In the legislative arena, the Gabriela Women's Party stands out. So they have been instrumental in passing critical legislations like the BAUSI, or Violence Against Women and Children Act, and the Safe Spaces Act. So ang impact nito, their work goes beyond lawmaking. It is a constant advocacy for gender equality, ensuring that issues affecting women remain on the national agenda. So, to summarize the status of women, we have seen significant achievements, but barriers remain. Moving forward, there is a need for gender-sensitive systems. We don't just need more women in politics. We need a political culture that respects and protects them. When we look at IPs, the Bangsamoro and women together, a pattern emerges in the cross-group analysis. There is commonality. They face shared issues of inequality and discrimination. Whether it is based on ethnicity, religion, or gender, the root cause is a lack of access to power. Possible solution, therefore, may mga piecemeal solutions, but they are not enough. Systemic political reforms are needed to level the playing field, such as anti-dynasty laws and stronger party list systems. So in conclusion, we must realize that political inclusion strengthens democracy. A government that excludes the marginalized is inherently unstable and unjust. The empowerment of all sectors is essential. When IPs, the Bangsamoro people, and the women are truly represented, the entire nation benefits from more diverse, equitable, and effective governance. So thank you, and um, please watch this video and prepare for a quiz next meeting.